The frost had come early that year, settling across the valley like a held breath. November mornings arrived sharp and clear, the kind of cold that made every sound travel farther. The creak of fence posts, the low of cattle, the distant bark of a dog carrying across miles of open land. The farmer rode out before dawn, as he always did, checking the fence lines along the old county road. His horse moved with the easy rhythm of familiarity beneath him, breath misting in the frozen air. He'd made this ride 1,000 times, knew every dip and rise of the land, every gate and crossing. This was his meditation, his church, the quiet hour before the world woke up, when it was just him and the land and the slow lightening of the eastern sky. He was 51 years old, though he rarely thought about it in those terms. Time on the land was measured differently, in seasons, in harvests, in the way his body knew the work before his mind had to think about it. He'd been alone for 7 years now, ever since his wife had left for the city, unable to bear the isolation any longer. He didn't blame her. Some people were made for this life and some weren't. And she'd tried longer than most would have. The loneliness had been hard at first, then bearable, then simply part of the landscape, like the wind or the winter cold, something you learn to live with. But this morning, as he crested the hill where the road bent toward the river crossing, he saw something that didn't belong. A figure on the roadside, small, huddled, and beside it, the unmistakable shape of someone trying to make themselves invisible against the cold. The farmer pulled his horse to a stop, his breath catching in his chest. It was a woman, young, maybe 25, sitting on a worn duffel bag with her arms wrapped around something held close to her chest. Even from this distance he could see she was shaking, whether from cold or emotion he couldn't tell. Maybe both. He urged his horse forward slowly, not wanting to startle her. As he got closer he could see more. Her jacket was too thin for this weather, her jeans torn at the knee. Her dark hair hung in tangles around a face that was pale and drawn, eyes red from crying. And in her arms, wrapped in what looked like every piece of clothing she owned, was a baby. The farmer's heart clenched. He dismounted carefully, keeping his movements slow and deliberate. The woman looked up at him with the kind of fear that came from too many bad experiences with strangers. "Morning," he said quietly, keeping his distance. "You okay?" It was a stupid question. She was clearly not okay, but sometimes you had to start with the obvious. She stared at him for a long moment, and he could see her calculating, whether to run, whether to lie, whether to trust. Finally, she shook her head, and fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. "No," she whispered. "No, I'm not okay." The baby stirred in her arms, making a small sound, and she immediately adjusted her hold, rocking gently, her whole body curving protectively around the child. "How long have you been out here?" the farmer asked. "Since last night. The car broke down about 5 miles back. I tried to walk, but..." She looked down at the baby. "I couldn't go any farther. I've been waiting for someone to pass by, but nobody." Her voice broke. The farmer looked up and down the empty road. This stretch saw maybe 3 cars a day, if that. In winter, even fewer. If he hadn't been riding the fence line this morning, she could have been here for days. "You need to get warm," he said. "Both of you. My place is about 2 miles from here. I can take you there, get you fed, warmed up. Then we can figure out what comes next." She looked at him with such desperate hope that it hurt to see. "I don't have any money. I can't pay you." "Didn't ask you to. Why would you help me? You don't even know me." The farmer was quiet for a moment, looking at this young woman with her baby, stranded on a frozen road with nothing but fear and exhaustion written on her face. He thought about all the moments in his life when someone had chosen to help him, when they didn't have to. His father teaching him to read the land, his neighbor helping him bring in the harvest the year his back went out. The small kindnesses that had made the difference between making it and not making it. "Because you need help," he said simply, "and I'm here. That's reason enough." Her name was Elena, and the baby was called Sophia, 3 months old with dark eyes that watched everything with solemn curiosity. The farmer lifted them both onto his horse, Elena holding Sophia while he walked alongside, leading them slowly back toward his property. She didn't talk much during the walk, and he didn't press. There would be time for stories later if she wanted to tell them. The house came into view as the sun finally broke over the mountains. casting everything in gold. It was a simple place, old, but well-maintained, with a wide porch and smoke already rising from the chimney where he'd stoked the fire before leaving. He helped Elena down, her legs unsteady after hours in the cold, and guided her inside. The warmth hit them immediately. Elena made a small sound, relief, gratitude, something beyond words, and he showed her to the couch near the fireplace. "Sit," he said. "I'll make coffee. And breakfast. When's the last time you ate?" She had to think about it. "Yesterday morning, maybe." He nodded and moved to the kitchen, putting on a pot of coffee, pulling out eggs and bread, working with the quiet efficiency of someone used to taking care of himself. Behind him, he could hear Elena murmuring to Sophia, the baby, making small, contented sounds. When he brought the food over, scrambled eggs, toast, hot coffee, Elena looked at it like it was a feast. "Thank you," she whispered. I don't know how to thank you." "Eat first. Thank me later if you still feel like it." She ate slowly at first, then with increasing hunger, balancing Sophia on her lap with practiced ease. The farmer sat across from her in his father's old chair and drank his coffee, watching the color slowly return to her face. When she'd finished, when she'd drunk a second cup of coffee and was holding the warm mug between her hands like a lifeline, she finally looked at him directly. "I should explain," she said, "only if you want to. I want you to know I'm not running from the law or anything like that." She took a breath. "I'm running from Sophia's father. He's not a good man. He was. He hurt me. And when I told him I was leaving, when I said I was taking Sophia and going somewhere he couldn't find us, he laughed, said I had nowhere to go, said I'd come crawling back within a week." The farmer's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice gentle. "Where were you headed?" "Oregon. I have a cousin there. She said she'd help me get on my feet, find work, a place to stay." Eleanor looked down at Sophia. "But the car, it was already barely running. I should have known it wouldn't make it. And now I don't have enough money for a bus ticket and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to." Her voice cracked and she started crying again, silent tears that spoke of exhaustion deeper than physical. The farmer let her cry. Sometimes that's what people needed, space to feel what they were feeling without someone trying to fix it immediately. When she'd quieted, he said, "You can stay here, as long as you need to. There's a guest room upstairs and I can move some furniture around to make space for the baby. You can rest. Get your strength back. Figure out your next move." Elena stared at him. "Why would you do that? I'm a complete stranger." "So was I to you an hour ago, but you got on my horse." He smiled slightly. "Sometimes that's how it works. People help each other, not because they have to, but because they can. I don't want to be a burden. You won't be. And if you want to help out around here while you're staying, I won't say no. Place could use a woman's touch. Been a bachelor's house too long." She was quiet for a long moment, studying him with those careful, calculating eyes. "What do you want from me?" The question hung in the air, heavy with all the bad experiences that had taught her to ask it. "Nothing," the farmer said, meeting her gaze steadily. "I'm offering you a safe place to stay, that's all. No strings, no expectations. You want to leave tomorrow? That's fine. You want to stay for a month while you figure things out? That's fine too. But I need you to believe me when I say I'm not expecting anything in return, except maybe some company at dinner and help with the dishes." Eleanor searched his face for a long time, looking for the lie, the catch, the hidden agenda. And when she didn't find it, when she saw only honest kindness in this weathered farmer's eyes, she finally let herself believe. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay, thank you." The first week passed in a kind of gentle settling. Elena slept more than she'd probably slept in months, her body finally able to rest without fear. The farmer set up the guest room with a crib he found in the barn, his own from when he was a baby, kept by his mother and passed down. He cleaned it carefully, made sure it was safe and sturdy, and watched Elena's eyes fill with tears when she saw it. "It's perfect," she said softly. Sophia thrived in the warmth and quiet. She smiled more, made more sounds, her little personality beginning to emerge. The farmer found himself drawn to her in ways he hadn't expected, the way she'd track him with her eyes when he crossed the room, the way she'd grab his finger with surprising strength when he offered it. The way she'd fall asleep on his shoulder when Elena needed a break. He'd never had children of his own. It was one of those things he and his ex-wife had planned for someday, a someday that never came. But holding Sophia, feeling her trust and vulnerability, he understood what he'd missed. And it ached. But it also felt like a gift, this unexpected chance to know what it meant to be needed by someone so small. Eleanor helped around the house, insisting on earning her keep despite his protests. She cooked, simple, delicious meals that filled the house with warmth. She cleaned, organized, brought a softness to the space that had been missing. And slowly, gradually, she began to talk. About her childhood in Texas, about meeting Sophia's father when she was too young to recognize the warning signs, about the slow erosion of her sense of self until she almost didn't recognize who she'd become. "I stayed because I didn't think I had anywhere else to go," she said one evening as they sat on the porch after dinner, Sophia sleeping in her arms. "He made me believe I was nothing without him, that nobody else would ever want me or help me, and I almost believed it." "But you left," the farmer said quietly. "I did. Because of her." Elena looked down at her daughter. "I could accept what he did to me. I'd gotten used to it somehow, but when she was born and I looked at her, I knew I couldn't let her grow up in that house. I couldn't let her think that was normal. That was love. So I took everything I had, and I left." "That took courage." "It took desperation," she corrected. "I didn't feel brave. I felt terrified." Courage isn't about not being scared. It's about doing the right thing even when you're terrified. Elena smiled slightly. "Is that farmer wisdom?" "My father's wisdom. He had a lot of it. Wish I'd listened better when he was around to share it." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over the valley, the sky turning shades of orange and pink that seemed too beautiful for the complicated world they lived in. "Can I ask you something?" Elena said after a while. "Sure." "Why are you alone, a man like you, kind, hardworking, patient? Why doesn't someone claim you?" The farmer was quiet for a moment. "Someone did once, my wife, but she needed things I couldn't give her. Excitement, culture, a life that wasn't defined by seasons and weather. She tried to love this place, tried to love this life. But you can't make yourself into something you're not, no matter how hard you try. Do you still love her? I'll always love who she was, but we're different people now, and that's okay. Some loves are meant to last forever. Some are meant to teach you something and then let you go." Eleanor nodded slowly. "That's a mature way to look at it. Took me a few years to get there. Spent the first 2 angry, the next 2 sad. Now I'm just grateful for what we had and at peace with what we don't. Do you ever get lonely?" The farmer considered the question. "Sometimes. But there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. I've got the land, the work, the animals, that's enough most days." He paused. "Though I'll admit, having you and Sophia here, it's reminded me what I was missing." Elena looked at him with something tender in her eyes. "We won't be here forever. I know, but I'll be grateful for however long you are." The second week brought the first snow, large, soft flakes that fell silently through the night, blanketing everything in white. Elena woke to find the world transformed, and she stood at the window with Sophia in her arms, showing her daughter the magic of it. The farmer came in from morning chores to find them there, backlit by the winter light, and something in his chest shifted. A recognition, a possibility, a dangerous hope he hadn't let himself feel in years. "First snow," he said, stamping his boots on the mat. "It's beautiful," Elena breathed. "I've never seen it like this. So pure." "Wait till you have to shovel it," he said with a smile. But he understood what she meant. There was something about fresh snow that made the world feel new, like all the old hurts could be covered over and forgotten. That afternoon, while Sophia napped, Eleanor asked if she could help with outdoor chores. "You sure?" the farmer asked. "It's cold out there. I've got your spare coat, and I want to learn. If I'm going to stay in Oregon, I should know how to do this kind of work." So he taught her how to break the ice on the water troughs, how to spread hay for the cattle, how to check the chickens and collect eggs without getting pecked. She was a quick learner, attentive and unafraid of hard work. "You're good at this," he said as they walked back to the house, the afternoon light slanting golden through the snow. "I like it. It feels real. Like what you do matters." She looked at him. "Does that make sense?" "Perfect sense." That evening, as they prepared dinner together in the kitchen, a domestic routine that had developed naturally over the days, Elena asked, "What would you do if I stayed? Not just for a few weeks, but longer." The farmer's hands stilled over the vegetables he was chopping. "What do you mean?" "I've been thinking about Oregon, about my cousin, and I realized I don't know her that well. We haven't talked in years. What if I get there and it doesn't work out? What if Sophia and I end up right back where we started?" She turned to face him fully. "Here, I feel safe. For the first time in years, I feel like I can breathe, like I'm not waiting for something bad to happen." "You're welcome to stay as long as you want," he said carefully. "I've told you that." "But what would people say? A single man and a single woman living under the same roof?" "I don't much care what people say, never have. The people whose opinions matter will understand. The ones who don't understand, their opinions don't matter." Elena smiled slightly. "More farmer wisdom, more life wisdom. Took me 50 years to learn it, but it served me well." She was quiet for a moment, her hands wrapped around a dish towel. What if I wanted to stay permanently? What if I wanted to make a life here, help you with the farm, raise Sophia in a place like this?" The farmer's heart was beating faster now, but he kept his voice steady. "I'd say that sounds like a fine plan, better than fine." "And what about us? Would we just be roommates? Business partners?" He turned to look at her then, really look at her. This woman who'd come into his life like a gift from the frozen morning, who'd brought warmth and purpose and possibility back into his carefully ordered world. "I suppose that would depend," he said quietly, "on what you wanted." Elena held his gaze. I think I'm starting to want something more. But I'm scared. I don't trust my judgment anymore. Last time I thought I wanted someone, I ended up with a man who hurt me. I'm not him. I know, I can see that, but the fear is still there." The farmer nodded slowly. "Then we go slow. We take our time. We let whatever's growing here grow at its own pace, without forcing it. And if it turns out we're better as friends and partners, that's okay too. But if it turns into something more," he paused, "I'd be open to that. Very open." Elena's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. "Okay, slow, I can do slow." "Good," he smiled back. "Now let's finish dinner before Sophia wakes up and demands her own meal." The winter deepened, and with it, so did the connection between them. They fell into rhythms, morning chores together, breakfast with Sophia between them in her high chair, afternoons of work interrupted by moments of play with the baby, evenings by the fire talking about everything and nothing. Elena called her cousin in Oregon and explained the situation. To her surprise, her cousin was relieved. "I'm glad you found somewhere stable," she said. "I would have helped, but honestly, I'm barely keeping my own head above water. This sounds better for you." And it was better. Elena could feel it in every cell of her body. The way she slept deeply now without nightmares. The way her shoulders had relaxed. The constant tension she'd carried for years finally releasing. The way she laughed, really laughed, at the farmer's dry jokes and Sophia's baby antics. She was healing. And so was he, though he might not have realized it. The loneliness that had been his companion for 7 years was receding, replaced by the gentle presence of this small family that had become his. He loved the sound of Sophia's babbling in the morning, the smell of Elena's cooking filling the house, the warmth of shared meals and shared work. One evening in late December, as they sat together on the couch with Sophia asleep upstairs, Elena reached over and took his hand. "I need to tell you something," she said softly. His heart clenched with sudden fear. "What is it?" "I'm falling in love with you, or maybe I've already fallen, I don't know. I just know that when I think about leaving, about going somewhere else, I can't breathe. And when I think about staying here with you, I feel like I can finally see a future that doesn't terrify me." The farmer felt emotion well up in his chest, thick and overwhelming. "Elena, you don't have to say anything back. I just needed you to know, because you've given me so much. Safety, kindness, a home for my daughter. And I don't want you to think I'm only staying out of gratitude or obligation. I'm staying because I want to be here, because you make me want to believe in good men again. Because when I look at you with Sophia, I see the father she deserves." He was quiet for a long moment, processing her words, feeling their weight and beauty. Then he raised her hand to his lips and kissed it gently. "I love you too," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "I didn't plan to, I wasn't looking for it, but from the moment I saw you on that road, something in me recognized something in you. And every day since, you've made me more certain that some people come into your life exactly when they're supposed to, bringing exactly what you didn't know you needed." Elena's tears spilled over, but she was smiling. "What are we going to do?" "We're going to keep doing exactly what we've been doing. Taking it slow, building something real, being a family." He cupped her face gently. "And when you're ready, not because you need me, but because you want me, we'll make it official however you want. But there's no rush. We've got time. I want to be ready. I want to trust this. You will. We will." He smiled. "In the meantime, I've got a question for you." "What?" "Will you let me raise Sophia as my own? Not legally, not yet, but in all the ways that matter. Will you let me be her father?" It was the question he'd been afraid to ask, the hope he'd been afraid to voice. But looking at Elena's face, seeing the love and trust there, he knew it was time. Elena nodded, crying too hard to speak. Then she leaned forward and kissed him, soft, tender, full of promise. And in that moment, with the fire crackling and the snow falling outside, and their whole future stretching before them, the farmer understood what redemption felt like. They were married in the spring, a simple ceremony in the yard, with wildflowers blooming, and Sophia toddling between them in a white dress that made her look like a small angel. The years that followed were good ones, not perfect, because life never was, but real and rich and full of the kind of love that grew deeper with time. Sophia called him Papa, and he called her his heart. Elena built a life alongside him that honored both her strength and her softness. They added to the farm, created new traditions, opened their home to others who needed refuge. And sometimes on cold winter mornings, the farmer would ride out to check the fence lines, and he'd pass the spot where he'd first found them, the place where everything had changed, and he'd offer up a silent prayer of gratitude to whatever force had brought them to that frozen road at exactly the right moment. Two broken people, one tiny child, and the courage to say yes to an impossible hope. Now, sitting on his porch with Elena beside him and Sophia, nearly grown, laughing with her younger siblings in the yard, the farmer understood that the best gifts in life were often the ones you never expected. The ones that arrived on cold roads, wrapped in desperation, asking for help. The ones that taught you that family wasn't about blood or obligation, but about choosing to love someone and being chosen in return. The ones that proved that endings could be beginnings, and that sometimes the bravest thing you could do was open your home and your heart to a stranger in need. Because that's what love was in the end. Not grand gestures or perfect moments, but the daily choice to show up, to stay present, to build something beautiful from broken pieces, and he wouldn't trade it for anything. What did you think of this story? Would you have made the same choice? Leave your sincere thoughts below, and if you enjoy these stories, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your presence here means the world.